Alright, what's poppin', people? We're back. And as you might be able to tell, I still don't feel exactly the greatest. TLDR, been sleep deprived probably for like a couple weeks now. I think my body's just kind of getting its self beaten up, but you know what? It's okay. We're back. I'm gonna try to do this video. I'm gonna try to do another video as well. We'll see how that goes. But today, I bring you Will It Blend? Maybe a series, maybe not. But the whole point of this video and any that follow are to look at some Pokemon that maybe don't see a whole lot of NU use, but that do have a pretty distinct niche, perhaps, as to why you should use them. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. Maybe we'll go over a Pokemon that people use a lot and we'll talk about why it's really bad. But today, I want to cover Electrode. Now, Electrode is a very cool Pokemon for a couple reasons. And the one that most of y'all are going to be most familiar with is probably going to be the second set that we have up here with Rain Dance. But I think first what's worth talking about instead is talking about it as a wall breaker, and naturally this immediately draws comparisons to Jolteon. Why would I use Electrode over a Jolteon? Anyone in the classroom want to raise their hands and answer that? Ah yes, you in the back. Oh, ding ding ding, look at you! Smart, smart, good job. So, Electrode's niche over Jolteon is, of course, the speed tier. And we're not talking about a minor difference. Jolteon is, of course, insanely fast in its own right, base 130 speed. That's nothing at all to scoff at. But Electrode at 150 has one very, very, very important thing going for it, and it's that you outspeed Choice Scarf Passimian. That's huge. Almost every team in NU is running Scarf Passimian, and for good reason. It's an incredible Pokemon. I mean, knockoff, U-turn, strong, like, fast mon to potentially sweep late game. Terra Fighting CC kinda can just clean teams, even when they're not as weakened as you'd expect. Just a really good option. And Electrode being faster than it's really cool, because having something that can revenge kill that is kind of crucial to any team, whether it's a mon that's like a defensive revenge killer, or even like your own Scarfer, say like a Bombardier for example. Scarf Bombardier also outspeeds and revenge kills pass, Scarf Bruxish can do the same, but Electro doesn't need to run a Scarf, it's just already super fast, and so you get to have your own fast mon that also packs a pretty strong punch. Now, base 80 is not that great, but specs, you do make up for it. You always have Volt Switch, so against Pokemon like Umbreon and Chansey that you're not really consistently breaking through, you're not forced to try and take that bad 1v1. You can always just pivot on out. It's sort of like how Zoroark has U-turn, and so you don't necessarily even need to run Trick. You can go all in on coverage with like a Scarf Zoroark with Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, Psychic, and U-turn, and just keep pivoting against threats that would otherwise actually wall you. And of course, we need to talk about Electrode's coverage too. It's really bad. Its move pool in general is really bad, and so the moveset's not the most inspiring. Terra Blast should be pretty obviously necessary, because otherwise you have no coverage. Electrode somehow lost moves between generations, and I don't know at which point it did. It used to have Signal Beam though. No more. They just decided we don't need that. And so we have our two electric moves here. We got Terra Blast Ice. I think there's an argument to be made that Ice isn't even the best. I think Water's got a really good niche too, because you still hit Sandaconda, but you also end up getting a move for Camerupt. And if we're thinking about why you'd run Ice, I mean, what threats are there? Appleton, so you at least have a move that still hits that hard. I'll be honest, you can Volt Switch on an Appleton into something that beats it. You've got Lurantis. This isn't a very common Pokemon, so, I mean, you know, if you want to move for it, that's all fine. I just don't find it too necessary. And then Cacturne would be the other big one. The main thing with Cacturne is it's just not that bulky. 70 HP, 60 special defense is pretty bad. And so you're going to be able to overwhelm it with Volt Switch. And if you pair this with like a Passimian, for example, you could lock the opposing team into a pretty nasty Volt Switch U-turn core, keep them locked up in that vortex, and just keep weakening the Cacturn anytime it tries to come in. And I think Water giving you that extra coverage versus Camerupt ends up being a little bit better in general. And then we did Thunderwave last. I mean, there's really just nothing else. You could run Explosion if you just want to have an option to, I don't know, get momentum in a different way for your team. Maybe get like a very safe switch in. There was something I had considered Foul Play for. There was a reason that I thought Foul Play sounded okay in theory at a point when looking at Electrode. I'll be honest, I can't recall that reason anymore. But, you want to try and think of a reason for why you'd run Foul Play, go for it. But yeah, settle on Thunderwave, because I mean, at the end of the day, Electrode forces switches. And inevitably, I'm sure you could force a switch into a mon that actually does get paralyzed. And, I mean, hey, maybe paralyzing one of these grass types like Abomasnow or Appleton, or Lorantis even, especially if you're going Terra Water, could end up being a decent move. And it's soundproof. I mean, all of its abilities are kind of situational. I think static is fine. You're just not switching this mon indirectly to a ton of stuff. I kind of liked the idea of soundproof because you switch into Boom Burst from Dunsparce. And so, hey, I mean, if it's specs, that's kind of nice to have an immunity to. A little variation as well that I considered on this set was doing like Magnet with Taunt last. You're not nearly as strong, and I think that hurts the Pokemon quite a bit, but being able to have a much more useful move in the last slot on a game-by-game basis, I do think is cool. And you could potentially, instead of just Volt Switching immediately versus some of the special walls, you could taunt them and then Volt Switch. So say an Umbreon or a Chansey switches into you. You taunt them as they come in, you get the Volt the next turn, and you know they're having to throw off a relatively weak attack instead of maybe already going for, you know, Thunder Wave, for example. Or if it's Chansey, they could maybe trying to get rocks up or recover health. Umbreon could maybe try to, you know, protect Scout whatever you bring in. Now it can't if you taunt it. So I think there's some merit to this kind of idea too. And then we got this guy here, of course. I don't need to talk too much about Damp Rock Electrode, I don't think. If you remember the great video we did with the Rain team way back when, you'll remember that Electrode's job really is just a really fast rain setter on full rain teams. Or manual rain, I guess is the better way to describe them. Where you just lead with it, you're faster than everything in the format, so you can always guarantee Rain Dance. You could potentially get a Taunt off if you need to versus like a lead Lycanroc or something. You've got Explosion to always guarantee that you're bringing in, say, Quillfish or Golduck safely, maybe even Swift Beartick. And then Light Screen just potentially, if you're given more turns to do stuff at lead, you know, it's not a bad move to have. I feel like this would especially be useful if you're looking at a lead Lycanroc, for example, where you're taunting turn 1, then you could set up your Light Screen just so you have the screen for later on in the battle. And then you get your Rain and then you boom. I think also, you know, we're Terra Ghost because there's really nothing better. I think there is an argument for Volt Switch here. I mean, maybe make it Terra Electric in that case. Again, the Terra type doesn't really matter for this kind of sex. You're not wanting to Terra ever with Electrode. I think Volt Switch, though, has a justification if you want to make sure that you preserve this Pokemon for later on in the battle. Where, you know, you could set Rain again. Because a lot of the time when I was using the manual Rain, it was just 2 Rain setters. It was a Murkrow and an Electrode. And although it seemed we could always win the games before it would matter that we only had 2 Rain setters, like the turns we got were always more than enough. I do think having Volt Switch and just making it so that your pivoting isn't costing you your Electrode has justification. But that's gonna be it for me from this video, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this. It's a little coverage of an Electrode. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the goal is to also actually put the Pokemon into the test of battle. So, probably tomorrow, you'll get a video from me where we actually use Electrode and see, hey, will it blend? Can it work it in you? I hope y'all enjoying your day. Hope y'all staying healthy, staying safe, and I'll catch you later. Peace.